But it's what it is. It's just our human nature, not understanding the difficulties and the that you have to face until we like to learn not from other people's mistake, but we want to experience it ourselves. Delta or COVID-19 is not an experience that I would like to have. Let's go to the phone lines and take a call. Caller, you're live on Your Views.
Sandra, good morning. How are you?
Oh, girl, if I say anything else beside great, I'll be ungrateful.
I thank God. God is good, eh?
All the
All the
time.
time.
Yeah.
Anybody don't want him, they need to give him to me.
I know, but I have him, so I don't know how you're gonna get it.
Sandra, I want to say here this morning, I want to talk about the spreading of this virus in St. Kitts. I believe the government needs to go around and shut down some of these houses where they got, because I believe that is one what causing this big spread. You got people got their family, their boyfriend, they got the girls and going around in these house and when they done the carry it home to the girlfriend and spread. I believe that is one causing this big spreading thing, Sandra. They need to close it down. Close them down. You understand what I'm saying? I might be wrong and I might sound right to some
No,
people,
no,
but
no, no,
that,
no. You're doing the right thing and you're saying the right thing. It is a fact.
yes, close them down because the people them who on the street, them are selling the fake and the food and so. Always one say, okay, them could have said because this is something we are accustomed to, people selling the fake and so it's an honest living. But these people who got these nasty house going around and man left in the woman and going there, they need to close them down, Sandra. Close them down. Them is one who causing this big spread, I believe, because them is nastiness. Them that is not an honest living, and some man left in the woman and going all up boardwalk and all over. Close them down, Prime Minister.
But let me ask you a question. These things, these
Yes.
homes they're not legal. How come they're
No,
operating and
I
nobody's
don't know
saying?
if they're legal.
No, they're
I
not
think they're
legal.
legal. I'll close them
Prostitution.
down.
No, no, no. Prostitution is not legal. So I don't know how these people are allowed to practice or open and operate these kind of houses because it's not
And
legal.
it don't bother me to see that these people, some of them in and have these kind of things going on in St. Find somewhere to put them up on a hillside or somewhere. These things happening too much around residential area. People got the children. What message they're sending to people? What message they're sending to people, children, Sandra? It's ridiculous,
It is.
Really, really ridiculous, Sandra. I don't like it at all because sometimes you're looking for your man and you're looking gone up in them Spanish.
The government can't help
When
you with
they
that.
come home and they bring home what they want and give the girlfriend and the children them. Sandra, you have a blessed day. Sorry for people who losing their job. It's really, really painful in a time right now, but they cannot blame the government.
No.
All over this happening. You're going to run your body how you want, and people going to run their business how they want.
Yep.
And people, some of them saying they lost their job and this, but you can't want this way they're going to take a vaccine and making a whole heap of noise every day and people listening you. The people them say you have to, if you want to keep your job, you have to be fully vaccinated. You can't mix with them. You're going to run your body how you want and I'm going to run my business how I want. Sandra, you have a blessed day. You hear?
Thank you, darling. You
And
do
Prime
likewise and
Minister,
stay
good
safe.
morning. Good morning, Prime Minister. Don't let nobody stress you who want to take the vaccine, take it. But when they don't want to take it and they get sick, let us stay home. Don't let them go up the hospital and stress out the nurses then because they also got family to go home to San Joe.
It's true.
Keep that kind of strain off the hospital and the doctor and the nurses. The Prime Minister them on their begging knees, they can't do nothing else. And people don't want to listen. Just leave them. Just make sure you secure yourself.
Thank
And
you.
you have a blessed day.
You do likewise,
Bye.
and thanks for calling and stay safe. You know, those are two topics that she would have touched on, and exactly where I wanted to go with the show this morning. We are seeing a lot of things happening in St. Kitts and Nevis, and if we don't exercise caution or the government doesn't take on that responsibility and do something about it, then we are going to be in some serious problems. I understand that we go out to other people's country and we want to live and we do things and we hope that we can live, but you can't go to America and behave that way. They're going to fine you and they're going to deport you because they do deport people. But we have people who are coming in here and they're having some practices that we are not accustomed to. And the caller is right. You have people, those are super spreaders because I have information where I've heard that people are contracting the virus because they're going to these whorehouses. Prostitution is called, but it's what we know it locally, and I'm not going to hide and give it no nice name because that's exactly what it is. We have to realize, in government, I don't think that prostitution is illegal. But people are selling, it's just becoming a habit now. And government has to seriously do something about it. Because it's not, it's not what we're accustomed to. People are accustomed to do this thing privately, but you can actually go to a house. I thought it was strip clubs and everything else. When people who are visitors said, no, it's not strip club. You pay and you go in and you can do whatever you want to. And somebody has to start paying attention to these homes. Everybody wants to live and everybody find a way how to make money. But there are rules and there are laws. People have been doing less than this, and they have to pay the penalty. But these homes needs addressing. Government has to start looking into them, whether or not these people are tested on a regular basis, because this is a spread of all kind of things that can happen. And like the caller would have said, there are some women who have not a clue what their husbands are doing, and at the end of the day become victims, and you have to suffer the consequences of these kind of irresponsible behavior. But again, we are adults, and we have to be responsible for what we have to do. And at the end of the day, this morning I was thinking seriously, because I've known a lot of cases where we have a lot of abuse on women, and people think abuse is men beating you up or otherwise, but you have mental, you have emotional abuse that has been going on, and we have lots of women who have been very silent about it. The caller talk about men visiting these homes and coming home all kind of quality hours at night. But as a woman, we have to put our freedom. I don't think I can have a husband who after 7:30 wants to come into my house. It's just what it is. Why would you want to be out after 7:30 when you don't work on shift? But we have to put our foot down. We have to make sure that our husbands are responsible, and we ourselves have to take the responsibility, knowing that it's going to affect us. Let's go back to the school situation. The schools are getting ready to open. I know there are some that have been delayed because we still have cases of little pockets of COVID in certain areas. And so parents, I am going to say to you that the government cannot be responsible for everything. We have to play our parts. Our children, we have to make sure that we are first we're the ones who take the responsibility of making sure that our children are protected. The mask, hand sanitizing, teach your children. They've been home for this whole summer vacation. This is time that you teach them when they go out to school, they have to wash their hands, try to social distance, because you don't know who has the virus. And we know that our children, they love to hug. It's a normal thing. They themselves are not even aware of what COVID is. And a lot of them, they're young. It breaks my heart because my granddaughter is getting ready to go to school. She's only 3 years old. And my greatest fear is that, you're going to mix with children who comes from a home where your family is infected, and at this time, they have not been tested. And so you as a parent, you have to teach your child now how to wash your hands, how to make sure that you keep your mask on. But children under 3 years and 4 years and 5, it's difficult for them to keep their mask on at all times. So social distancing, you have to teach your children that when you go to school, it's not about the hugging, which is going to be very difficult because this is something that they know. It's not about hugging your friends and social, not social, you can't tell them not to socialize because they're going to play. Teachers, the school doesn't have enough teachers to go around and make sure for each child you're going to keep them and make sure that they social distance. That has been working for us before vaccination came on board. So we have to make sure that we exercise those cautions. We have to make sure that we practice those precautionary measures because it worked before, and I know for a fact that it can continue to do so if we continue to be responsible. So parents, you have a part to play. We always leave everything up to the teachers and the government. We have to play our part too and make sure that our children are safe. Safety, the protocols start from home. It's about practicing them. We have to do something in order to curtail this virus because we are over 1,000 cases. Could you imagine? We've had 5 deaths so far. We have a few people who have been hospitalized, and I listened to a video with a YouTube video with this lady who have COVID right here in St. Kitts, and she talked about the difficulties that she's having breathing. And I must say kudos to the nurses and the doctors. They're working extra overtime. And you know, I listened to some people with their ungrateful selves who, when they get, people are the hardest thing to please. When they're having discussions, they're talking bad about the CMO, they're talking bad about the chief, medical chief of staff. These people have put their family on life on the line for you. They are working round the clock to make sure that you're safe. And at the end of the day, we are all ungrateful self that we are. We can sit down and talk negative about these people. That's not their obligation. People have to understand, just like you, when you go to work, you always want to know, you always say, I am not paid for that. I am not paid to do that. But at the end of the day, you think that people are paid to do every single thing. We have to be careful. Let's go to the phone lines and take this call. Caller, you're live on Your Views.
Good morning, Sandra. How are you?
Hey, I'm great.
Sandra, you couldn't say it any better. You couldn't say it any better. These people leaving their home, their family.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, greet me here to you want to get out with the CMO, Dr. Wilkinson, Abdia Samuel.
Mm-hmm.
And those in Nevis as well, too. We can't forget about those as well.
Of course not.
It's heartbreaking. They have to get up at morning, night, evening, whatever, to deal with us. And they just have to go back home to the family.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know what they're taking back to the family.
So true.
It's odd. I don't know what to say. Anyway, enjoy your day.
Thank you. You do likewise, and stay safe. I've listened to people. I've dismissed conversations because people feel like people have to go beyond. We are not perfect. We have our imperfections, but people who would have sacrificed, I couldn't do it. Trust me. It doesn't matter how much I love people. I couldn't do what they do, and we have to be very grateful. And that's one of the areas that I find with us as Kittitians and Nevisians. We are too ungrateful. We want everybody to put things in our lap. We want to make sure that things are being done for us, and we don't want to do anything. Let's get back to the workplaces. I have had, and I said it, you are working for a company. Company has rules. If you're not going to abide by the rules, you have to go home. You can say as much as you want, and it sounds heartless. I am a business owner myself. And there are rules. If I want to violate, and that's why I don't work for people, because I want to be free to do what I want to do. But if you're working for somebody, just like how you believe in not being vaccinated, it's the same way they have their belief in being vaccinated, and vice versa. So if a company states that at the end of the day, people who would have made the sacrifice to become vaccinated, and they don't want you to be in the same space because you occupy the same space, because that is what they know, that is information that they have. And if you're going to take the stance, know that you have to go home, because that's what it is. And protesting and doing whatever you want to do and saying what you want to say, it's the reality. It's just what it is. You have to respect what people say. It's heartless. And trust me, believe you me, I think it's heartless when one has to go home because they think it's their right to do or not to do. But at the end of the day, you have your rights and they have their rights. It's the reality of the situation. As harsh as it may sound, as bad as it may sound, people must not go around inciting people to do other things when you know that is the situation. I don't think it's the right thing to do. I think it's heartless. But at the end of the day, it's what it is. They have their rights and you have your rights. And having that understanding, if you don't want the vaccination, then you know you have to be self-employed. And it's as simple as that. Because if a company tells me that my roof has asbestos, you have an allergy to that, or in my business place there's mold, you have an allergy to it, I don't have monies yet to do what I have to do, then the job doesn't belong to you. It's just what it is. We can't dictate what people want. If you want a job, sometimes there's certain requirements. If you don't meet those requirements, you can't have the job. It's the same thing. It is sad because a lot of people are asking the right questions. A lot of people don't know what's in the vaccination. A lot of people have their reasons why they're not taking the vaccination. There's some people who really and genuinely have underlying conditions, but at the end of the day, you have to go and prove, and doctors feel at this point in time that there's no underlying condition that warrants not taking the vaccination. So you're between a rock and a hard place. So if you take that stance, if you feel like it's not something that you want to take, then understand that if you're not going to take it, you can't work in an environment that states that you have to be vaccinated in order to work. They have their reasons. And like I said, there's some people feel if they would have put themselves out on the line because they don't want to get COVID and they're going to run the risk because you think that they're running a risk, then why should they run the risk and still expose to you who science claim that you are basically at a high risk when you don't take the vaccination of contracting the virus, COVID. So it's their right, you have your right, and they have their right. And, you know, it is sad when people would take it to the level of going out in public, and it's your right to talk. But at the end of the day, you have to recognize, too, that the business is not yours. And if you want to take those kind of stands, then you have to start working for yourself. It is the harsh reality, and sometimes we have to wake up to those kind of realities, realizing that we cannot do any better. Again, like I said, I think it is very difficult because in times like these, they're trying times. I think it's difficult when one has to, who's working for a company for umpteen of years, and all of a sudden you have to lose your job because of the fact that you refuse to take a vaccination. Having an understanding why you wouldn't want to take it, I mean, that is no concern of the owner or of the businesses. That's what the stance is, and I suppose if you can't take that, you don't want to do that, then you just have to do otherwise. There are other things we can talk about. I must say congratulations again. I've been visiting the stalls because I love ground provisions. I love natural produce, so I've been visiting the farmers, and their areas that they're selling now up there on Pond Road in that area under the tree where we used to say it was a water table. It's a pleasure to go up there. You can get the variety. There's some people who are still not in the market. Well, everybody can't go to the market. But that area, it's quite good. Enough parking. You can park there. You can actually now have a conversation. I know I used to have to want to pick up some guavas from Mr. Clark, but I couldn't because the time you have to time it and you have to be looking out for routes because, you know, you don't want to get a ticket. So, but now you can actually drive there, have a discussion, secure some sugar apples for the next week. You know, those are the things that were seriously missing. And now I want to say, you know, it's a good thing. And it's a variety of stuff that you can get there. The coconut man who can't operate in the market, or you know why, because they have to be chopping out those jellies, and there was basically no space in the market for them to do that. So having them there is quite a good thing. The temporary space for the food vendors, now all of them there, you have a choice where you can go and can get some food if you want to. Again, you're taking these things at your own risk, but it's a good way to patronize people. And then if you want to get some ground provision, it's right there. And it's the neatness now of the stalls. Things are not thrown around. The area is well kept, and you can get the variety of stuff that you want. It's very good on a Friday. Like today, you go up there, anything that you want, you can get right there on the tree on Pond Road. It's really a good idea for the time. I mean, it's a good thing. It's a good area that you would have the food vendors now temporarily until government is completed. They want down at on the square on Knott's Independence Square Street. So it's good that you could go there and you can patronize these vendors. Times are tough. We can see that everybody's trying to do something, and that's one of the good things. I'm happy. I'm really glad to see that we as Skittershans and Divisions that we are trying to help ourselves. It's an area that I've been trying to promote for the longest while. saying all along, government cannot employ everybody. We have minimal private sectors that people want to work. Remember, everybody wants to walk out in the pantyhose, high heel shoes, nice bags. These are the areas people want to work. We don't have lots of that here in St. Kitts. It's Cable and Wireless, Hosford, TDC, the banks. Those are basically the cable. Those are basically the areas that you're confined to. And how much so can they employ? But I like to see people are now trying to do things on their own. I've never seen, it's so many things now, that so many different things on the market, so many different ideas that people are bringing forth, and you can see the creativity, the talent that we have here in thinking that people were actually sitting on. We are now seeing that coming forward. So COVID has had its negative, and it have had lots of positive impact. We are now seeing where our creativity that we had that have been stifled over the years, we are now seeing that. We are seeing now a lot of young people coming out of school. You have people coming out of high school. You have people coming out of CFBC. And you've been asking the same question again. Where are we going to put these people? The government would have, I've seen that at Skelec. I've seen the government doing that some now too. People who have attained the age of 55, definitely. And people are arguing about that fact that they think that, government should not send you home at 55. But let's look at the situation. Most of you at 55, you're working basically for 35 years. 35 years. And there are lots of young people that are coming out. And you've been in a business for 35 years, working for government. At the end of the 35 years, you'll be given a gratuity and you're going to get a pension. If you have not saved up anything for that 35 years, I can guarantee you for the next 5 years, you wouldn't save anything. So we have lots of young people coming in, and it's tough when you call and say, oh, my daughter's just finished with school. I'm trying to find out whether or not there are any vacancies. No. But then when you look, you see some people can hardly walk. And they get up at mornings and they're trudging their way to work. It's not right. It's not right. And then you talk about experience. How would these young people get experience when they don't have a chance to work? You have to start to work first in order to gain the experience. Every time. For 4 years, I know of a young man, and I feel for this young man. He left CFBC. He's now trying to see if he can get to go to university. His parents can't afford, but I mean, he wanted to work first so that he can be able to go to uni. And 4 years now, and 4 years would have passed so quickly. Believe it or not, it's almost 2 years since we've been plagued with COVID. So those are those are excuses that people are using. And he can't seem to get a job, and he's quite qualified. He has 12 subjects, 6 distinction. There's no work. There is no work. Government is taking on more than they can, because really and truly, there's some areas, some departments you go in, people don't have anything to do, but it's just to say that you're hiring. And so those people who are in government offices over 55 years, not only government offices in the private sector, because some of the private sectors, they do have the same thing. I know TDC have a pension plan that you can contribute to, and later on you can get a gratuity too, I think, and a pension. And so what I'm saying is that is one of the reasons why you have age limits, so that young people coming out of school can find something to do. And when government start not terminating, but telling you, you have to go home, it becomes a problem. Oh, I ain't gonna vote for them again because they send me home. 60-something-year-olds. Come on, man. What kind of conscience can you have? What about the young people? Oh, the young people don't know what they're doing. Well, how would they ever know what they're doing when they are not given the chance? And that is one of the reasons why I say, if you're you're a specialist in a department, government give you a year contract, bring somebody to work, you teach them the job, and then you just go home. There are other things you can do when you're retired. It's not about retiring, because people think, oh, you're sending home people to do what? To do what? There's so much to do. And if you really want to work, then you could come up with ideas and find something else to do. If you have the energy to work still and you feel like you're strong enough. And why do we want to work all our lives? There's so much things you can do. Take an afternoon off, go to the beach. You have gardening that you can do. Start producing your own little food, backyard gardening you can do. There's a backyard gardening club, and they've been doing very well. And there are other things that you can do. For those of you who have the skill or you're a specialist, have afternoon sessions. You can teach people what you did and give them ideas and teach them what it is to work on the job training. You can do that. There's so many things that you can do. There's so many areas that we have not yet explored. Those of you who are in government offices over the age of 55, and I know people are going to tell me what they have to say, but if you don't know me by now, you would know now. Let me let you know that what you say really doesn't mean a thing to me. It is a fact. It's a reality. Young people need to get something to do. If they don't find work to do, then they become idle hands. There are lots of young men out there who are qualified, but they can't seem to get work. It hurts me. It hurts. We have opened up our doors to all and sundry. And so it's already difficult for locals to compete. But when you look into government offices, you see that the people there, they're old. They need to go home. And it's a fact. It's the reality. At 55, I want to be home. You think I want to get up every morning to have to go out to work? I mean, your body's tired. And most of the time you go to work and you sleep on the job because you're too tired. So let's look at the fact that there are lots of young people coming out. There are people who would have taken the time. I know there are young people who wanted to finish school, start to work for a year or two, go to university. They couldn't do that because of the fact that there are no vacancies, so they went on to CFPC. They've done the program, they're out of school, and this is their fare. They're sending out their resumes. There are lots of people being turned down. Lucky for some people, if you have strings, you can pull them. Those of you who don't have strings, what you do, stay home. When your mother is being laid off because of the COVID situation, lots of these business places are using COVID as an excuse to get rid of certain people. And so those of you who are complaining about being vaccinated or not vaccinated, there are other circumstances why people are not being employed. But what can you do? You're telling young people who have no experience about work to go out and start their own businesses. There are people who did entrepreneurship, who would love to start their own business. They don't have the finances. And they don't have the experience. And so they would like to work for maybe a year or two and garner some experience, see what it is like to run a business, and then open their own. But you know, we're caught between a rock and a hard place. What do we do? What are we going to do with all of these young people coming out of school? PEP, government can't take anybody else. I've seen real qualified people on PEP can't find a job of their own. We have more doctors and lawyers in St. Kitts than criminals and patients. And everybody's going away to study law. But listen, let me tell you all, the skilled area, that is the area that people need to send. Parents start encouraging your children that when they go to CFPC, leave the computer thing, put that aside. What they teach what they're teaching in CFPC, the children already know what's happening there. They're even better than going to CFPC. Let them go to learn architectural drawing, plumbing, electrical engineering, mechanical engineering. These are the areas. Every child in St. Kitts almost have a vehicle. And this is how you start looking at the market and the demands. The construction industry is booming. People are looking for plumbers. Everybody house having water pipes. And most of the time you have problems with them. You're trying to find a plumber. He tell you he's going to come. He's overwhelmed. 3 weeks later, he's going to shut up. He goes back because he didn't walk with his tools. It takes him another 2 weeks before he can come. And you want to know where he has his tools because they're overwhelmed. So instead of sending your children to school, oh, what do you want to be? Office administration. Send them to get a skill. AVEC is there. You have TechVoc is there. And these are the things, as parents, we have to sit down and understand the market. But all of us want to do the same thing. You want a lawyer. You want a doctor. Status quo. You want your child to be able to have a job or have an income. Money's coming in on a daily basis. That happens when you have a skill. Carpentry, you can't find a carpenter. I'm looking for a good carpenter. You can't tiling, you can't find a good tile. When you want to find a good tilesman, you have to look for the Spanish. These are areas that we are not getting our children into. It's the dirty job that pays the money. It's not the height, because you have to pay for the shoes and you have to pay for the pantyhose. When you have to pay to keep up appearances. You have a call. Let's take this call. Caller, you're live on Your Views. Can you turn your radio down, please?
Good morning, Sandro.
Hi, good morning, sir.
Thank you for that.
You're
Sandro, let
welcome.
me say this to you.
Mm-hmm.
I getting old now.
Mm-hmm.
I am a construction worker.
Mm-hmm.
I go in carpentry.
Mm-hmm.
I go in joinery.
Mm-hmm.
And because I'm on the job, I pick up electrician and plumbing.
Mm-hmm.
I could say this. No plumbing better than me. Me going to take the chance with electrician. But no plumbing could show me up. No plumber could show me up.
But I have to hire you.
But listen, let me say what I call it.
Mm-hmm.
This. Let me say this. I'm glad you're talking to them.
Mm-hmm.
I find out every time, well, I don't run my own little stuff because I believe in development.
Mm-hmm.
And I love my country. I traveled to Canada and I've been to America. So I know how it is. And I just meet the youths. What farm you go to? What school you go to? What farm you in? Somebody will tell me Fort Farm. Well, I'm going to tell you the truth. The girls, they're very alert. When you ask the girls what you want to be when you grow up, they're going to tell you positive, straight what I want to be. I was surprised the other day. I troubled a girl going in high school. I said, could I say something to you? Well, she watched me like, you know it is. I said, man, it ain't nothing bad. I said, what school you go to? She tell me high school. I said, what farm you in? She said, she in Fifth Farm. I said, what you would like to be when you left school? She said, a pilot.
Wow.
I said, what? She said, a pilot. I said, well, you know what pilot really into? She said, yes. I said, you know the subject? She said, yeah, I don't do the subject. I go, my father don't set me up. I go in Miami to study as soon as I leave college. I said, that's wonderful.
Wow.
I just meet a lot of the young girls and ask them, what find out? A lot of them think in the money line, lawyer. I just tell them, look, to be a lawyer, you got to specialize. Because these days, just going and studying lawyer, it ain't making sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's the best one going to go in the courthouse. The one who could talk good will end up in the courthouse. You're going to end up in the office. Because most of these lawyers now is firms, lawyer firm. And so I just try to show them, I say, look, go and study a trade. Forget the lawyer, the thing. Study engineering. Study aviation engineering. Study electrician engineering. Study plumbing. Study the real science side. So you can work public works in the water department. And you know, things like that I will tell them.
Mm-hmm.
But the girls, they're good. When you meet the boy, when you meet the boy, what school you go to? He tell you. After college, I will ask, what you would like to study when you leave school? They start to scratch the head. I will say, Mister, you're in Fifth Farm, you're done in college too. You know? I will say, well, you're supposed to don't know what you want, so you could set this subject to get the job you want. Some of them don't know. But the girls, I'm telling you, the girls on the ball. The boys, them, they're ready.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do it randomly. I will meet them and I will trouble them and I will think to get to know. I will tell you the truth. The boys, they're always telling you, my man, no. The girls, I'm going to tell you, I want to be a chef. I want to be a pilot. I want to be a doctor. I just tell them, look, just don't go study doctor. Specialize. When you specialize, you don't always got work. Specialize. Anything you do these days, specialize. And I'm glad you're talking to them, Sandra. Glad.
Appreciate
because
it.
we got the airport up there. We need mechanics for it. I mean, no mechanics supposed to come from Puerto Rico and Miami to come here to fix the plane. And we got intelligent people here. Thing.
It's true.
We need hotels billing. We need manager for hotels and them kind of things, Sandra. And thank you. Talk to them for me, please.
Appreciate
You.
it. Okay, thank you for your contribution. It is what it is, and like I said, you know, the caller would have made mention that the boys don't know what they're doing, and that comes from whom? A lot of times, as parents, we're not part of our children's life. Our children are just because their friend wants to do something, they want to go to study together, and they choose the same subject, and they're not able to do that. We have to take our children and change their mindset. The dirty jobs are the ones that make money. When I was growing up, honestly, I remember and I was having a discussion with my son, and I said to him, you know what I always wanted to bring in? I see Admiral doing it, is that stool bus. I used to think about that when I was growing up. I mean, and who would think about wanting to bring in a truck that is going to clean septics? Those are the areas that I was looking. And as parents, we have to divert our children's attention. It's not about, there's no job that is a dirty job. All jobs have to be done. That's why they're jobs. And the caller made a good point when he says, everybody wants to go and study medicine. They want to become doctors. Nobody's taking the time to specialize. We have too many general practitioners here. Dr. Jacobs is passed and gone. Who is the new pediatrician? These are areas that are, you know, they are, although they're in the medical field, this yet still vacant. They're still vacant because we don't have specialized doctors coming in. We have general practitioners, and that's what everybody's going out there to do. We have, just like you said, lawyers are coming in. Criminal law is one thing. You have corporate law is another thing, but they're specialized areas. Like people have a lot of divorce cases here now. You can't find a good divorce lawyer. Because oh no, I don't really practice that field. These are the things that we have to instill in our children's mind. That when they're getting ready to go to school, we have a caller. Let's take this caller because we're almost at the time. Caller, you live on your views. Guy, good morning.
Yeah, this is Delroy Libert.
Hi, Delroy.
Most people know me as Rankin. I've been listening to the show and I'm being intrigued to call in. First of all, referring to a statement a caller made recently about boys not knowing what they're doing. I honestly have seen a vast increase in young men taking up the posts in banks, secretary, you know. Look at the banks now. Once ago you go into the bank, you're in the line and you're seeing all females. But now if you look at the banks, you're seeing males. You're seeing males as a secretary, you know. So that mindset thought, I think, is out of the door. We are seeing an improvement in men becoming to holding their stand in society. So I think it's unfair to say that, you know, boys don't know what they're doing. And as you rightly said, it comes from the home. So the home should start at a tender age to try to recognize and see where their children's interests are and help them to develop instead of push them into another direction.
Yeah.
Because when you do that, you're asking them to go into uncharted waters.
That is true.
And they are diverting from their natural ability. Nothing is wrong with encouraging them to do something else, but don't say, oh, what mechanic? You do better, you make more money being a pilot.
Yep.
You understand what I'm saying? And the second thing is that we don't have a problem with finding skill here in St. Kitts, local skill. The problem, and it has been developing over the years, is work ethics.
Yep.
Work ethics. When people go to colleges and whatever, sometimes these sort of behavior patterns come from the teachers, the instructors, not showing up to school without a proper a foregoing excuse to let them know, well, tomorrow I wouldn't be able to make it. Students are in class sitting down, and I'm telling you from experience because I have a child who went to college, well, and one is in right now. At the last moment, they go spend the bus fee and everything, sit in class, and then an hour or half an hour may pass before they get a message from the teacher, or somebody may come and say, oh, the teacher won't be in today, you know, and that's tardiness. So if we are teaching our children that, if they're seeing us do that, What do we expect? So work ethics. I do jobs. I'm employed, but I have little jobs that I do and I get guys, and sometimes I have to resort to the Spanish because you tell the locals, and they go to work for 7, but they start undressing 7:15, then they go in the back to get something to buy by 8:15, and you still have to pay for the full 8 hours.
Yep.
When you get these guys, you know, sometimes the Spanish and the Jamaicans, there's good in everyone and there's bad in everyone.
Mm-hmm.
You find that they have the spirit to get the job done. So nothing is wrong with that. We have petitions working overboard. I don't know what the issue is that, you know, but in every area there is the possibilities and the impossibilities. So we don't paint the wall with a broad brush. We have skill in things, but people have to change their mindset.
Yep.
You know, and work is work. Your day work is your day work. Your job pay is your job pay. So you have to give before you get. You give in your time and you look for your money on Friday. Don't say, oh, I was on the job every day. You're on the job, but what control?
It's true.
You understand what I'm saying?
It's true. Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, we have to start to teach and stress on work ethics, being on the job on time, giving your best, giving your all. You're tired, you take a break, you will understand. But, you know,
Yep.
we got to change our mindset.
Thank you. Thank you, Delroy. I really appreciate that. That is exactly,
Yes.
yeah, you've really touched on the biggest problem that we have here in our local people, work ethics. And I've seen that, I've said that. I have been looking for people. I always resort first to looking for locals. And it's not because, you know, you want to think otherwise. But it's always wanting to do that. But when you bring them to work, that's one of the things. They tell you they're going to come at 9 o'clock. You stay there, then at 4 o'clock you call and say, I thought you said you're going to get tied up, I'm going to come. I mean, you're looking, I don't even want to say this, but it's a fact. You look for people, they tell you they're going to come, and we're going to take this last call. Caller, let me take you.
So I don't really call back twice.
Uh-huh.
But what the guy is saying, he don't understand until I'm not calling on the boys.
Mm-hmm.
The boys, we have some very intelligent young men out there.
Mm-hmm.
But he make the point what I'm trying to say. Maybe I didn't bring it out plain.
Yeah.
Now he make a point. I work as a foreman. They come to work and you have to beg them, Lord, come early. You got to change the system. And next thing you want to find out with them, they only think about money. So you got to talk to them too much to show them one thing because they only want to know the basic. And then that's it. You got to know work properly. You got to be able to work properly. Mm-hmm. Not do it halfway. And they only see money. That's all what I have with the young men. A lot of them. Money. And a lot of them, you got to beg them too much. You know? Mm-hmm. And I just always tell them, look, the trade is good. Learn the trade full. Learn it in entirety. Learn the good and the bad in the trade. Right? Don't just go up and feel like you can put on a galvanized anyhow. You know? Mm-hmm. Don't feel like you can put on a toilet anyhow. You have a right way to put it down. And that is what I'm trying to say to the guy. What he is saying is, we are looking for skilled people. And if the young men don't work properly and don't take up the right work ethics, we are going to be in problem with them, and the foreigners is going to take the work.
It's true. Thank you.
The foreigners just waiting on the side to take the work, and we got to teach them the right way. Now, I went to college. I will always encourage them. Try to see if they could get into college, because when you get into the college, you learn a wider range of things. You know how to work out things. You know how to do things properly. But a lot of them, they don't want that. They just want, well, I could do it. And that's the mentality, because they look at money. And they are not going to last long. And that is what I'm trying to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. And I do appreciate that. But we have to exercise patience. They're young people. Young people are going to make mistakes. Because, I mean, comes with the territory. You grow and grow. You it's a journey, and during that time, sometimes we have to exercise patience because a lot of times we fail to realize we've come from that same way, the same path we would have traveled before we became professionals and before we have a good understanding of the importance of doing it the right way. So sometimes I just wish that we could have a little more patience because a lot of times workers, we discourage employers, we discourage our employees because of our attitude. So sometimes if we can take these things into consideration, help to build and mold our young men and our young women to make them to become positive influences in the countries, and other people can emulate them. And I'm glad that we have a lot of skilled and professional employees out there in the skilled fields like construction, plumbers. We have those, but they don't have patience either. They don't take time out to help to raise and train. I agree, and I said that before, that a lot of times parents would have neglected that as their role of trying to mold their children into becoming, what they're supposed to be. We leave that up to other people to do. When our children come home and complain, I can't stand my boss, you find something negative to say too, not taking time out to let them know. It's people's work that you're on, and you have to do, in order for you to strive, in order for you to become what you want to become, you have to sometimes listen to people who would have experienced it. But we're out of time, and these are topics that we definitely need to start to discuss because children are going to schools, they're going from school, they're going to colleges, and I like the fact that where the caller would have talked about the teachers and the poor work ethics that they would have displayed, and children look at that and they take it along with themselves. I remember a teacher told me, let me tell you something, I get him pay. I don't have to teach you, but I'm going to get paid anyways. And those are the kind of attitude that you can pick up. You pick up along the way. And we have to be careful sometimes. We who profess to be professionals, these children, they're learners. And we have to go easy on them. Take the time out and exercise patience to get our youths in a position where they're supposed to be. There are lots of talents out there. And you might be surprised to see some of the talents that you turned down later on when somebody would have taken out the time to be patient with them and what they could have achieved. And sometimes we can do that. And that's one of the reasons why we want to look at programs where we can encourage our young people, talk to the employers too, because sometimes their attitude sucks and they would discourage more than encourage. Everybody have a problem. It is a journey, and there are lots of times that people operate not because they want to be that, but because of lack of information. We're definitely out of time, and today's Friday. It's a day when everybody prepare, not just workers. Now it's Friday for the construction workers. They're getting ready to get their pay. The people who would have worked hard during the week and they want now to just let their head down and they want to party. CPL is happening right now. We're winding down, and people want to go now to start looking at some cricket. You get some money now, you can afford to buy yourself a ticket. And it's a lot of different things that happen on Friday. It's a special day. For me, it's about going up by the reservoir, inhaling some fresh air, because we don't know how much longer we're going to have all of those trees. People are trying to build every single place, and we're going to be losing those trees sooner than later. So I take the time, and I wish I could have stored up an oxygen. I would have had lots of it. And I take the time out to breathe. And we need to take time out to find ourselves so that we can be better people. My name is Sandra Quilliatis, and it was a pleasure. I look forward to doing this next week, Friday, same time, same place, with FM 98.9. Stay tuned. Voices up next.